Hi, everyone. It's great to have you all join us today. I'm Samantha Raphael, the Lead Generation Marketing Manager at Accusoft. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to our webinar, Supercharge Your Document Workflow, Unleashing AI-Powered Secure Document Processing with PrizmDoc with Dan Lee. He's our Senior Product Manager here at Accusoft. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. All attendees are in listen-only mode today. I'm sure you'll all have some great questions as Dan takes us through the presentation. And we'd love to hear your questions and welcome you to post them in the questions section of the webinar toolbar at any time. And then Dan will answer them at the end of the presentation. All right, Dan, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Samantha. Thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. I know you've got busy schedules and we appreciate your time. So hopefully this will be very informative for you. And at the end, we'll have an open Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the questions there and we'll address as many of those as we can at the end. So just a quick high level agenda today. Just going to do a quick introduction to Accusoft, and then we're going to go in and talk a little bit about PrizmDoc and specifically some of the new AI features and functionalities that we've brought to PrizmDoc. Then we're going to do some demo of that, so you're going to actually see this in action and how it works, and then we'll do a review. And like I said, at the end we'll have a Q&A. So just really quick, Accusoft's been around for 33 years. We're a local company here in Tampa, Florida. We've been an innovation leader in the space of document processing, conversion, and automation software solutions for all those years. And we have customers globally. We have over 1,250 customers worldwide. And we're really known for world-class customer service and just being trusted by a lot of industry leaders worldwide. And when they put our software, and we'll touch on some of this today, a big part of that is being able to put an enterprise grade viewing solution and document processing tools into their applications and have a reliable application that they can plug in there, and as well as the security components that we're going to bring. So, one of the things we face all the time is just our customers, talk about the document processing challenges. So as their systems and their applications continue to grow, the companies that they're serving, their world revolves around more and more digital documents all the time, right? This is just a fact of today's society. And so there's so many different types of documents, but it's also it could be audio, video, it can be, chat files that are from, your Slack or your Teams. There's just a lot of digital content. And to be able to manage all that content, the ECM systems and the DMS systems out there, they're bringing all this content in and they need ways to be able to streamline that process to get that information in front of users. And users, of course, when they're, people are searching for stuff, they need to be able to quickly search for it and securely access those documents. And there's lots of things that you can do in that process to help streamline that. And we're going to touch on some of those today, specifically things like document summarizations, where you can have a quick summary before you actually open a document, or classifications and tags that can help with sorting and filing and returning search results. But then even extending beyond that, things like document Q&A, where I can ask questions about a document or sets of documents, and how do I quickly find the information I'm looking for. So again, automated document processing tools are really valuable in that process to help save that time, and then also just help people get to answering questions and having the data they need to make decisions and be able to drive their business forward. Of course, as the whole technology around AI evolves, our customers, they want a trusted AI partner, and that's really what we strive to do at Accusoft here is be that trusted partner to help deliver this functionality securely into their applications. So we're going to start with a poll question. We actually have two poll questions I want to start with, because I like to understand kind of where everybody is today. And so the first poll question is pretty simple. It's just, do you have a document viewer in your application today? So we'll give everybody a minute there to answer that. All right, I think we got some good answers there. Thank you very much. I'm going to close that poll, and I'm going to ask one more quick poll question. So, one of the big things we're talking about today, of course, is AI and the integration of AI into the document viewing and processing applications. So the next question is, where are you in your AI journey? Is this something that you're using in production today? Or is it something you just maybe are testing, you've done some proof of concepts with? Or is it something you're maybe evaluating, but you're not really using it? Or is it something you just you're not looking at all? So we'll give everybody a few seconds there to answer that one as well. This is a good question to ask. So every time we do these webinars, we ask this question, and it's interesting to see how companies are shifting and moving through that cycle of adopting AI or evaluating AI. Okay, thank you very much. So we will go back to the presentation, and we're going to do a quick overview of PrizmDoc. So I know that some of the people on this call might be familiar with PrizmDoc, but I think there's a lot of people that aren't. And so I would really like to hit some of the highlights of, what is PrizmDoc and what does it bring to our customers? The first and foremost, a lot of our customers are using PrizmDoc as a viewing application within their application. So they want to be able to bring this functionality to be able to view any document on any device directly in a browser without having to have specific applications that they have to download and maintain all these different applications. So it allows them to empower their users with access to this information in the most convenient way, and that is through their browser, right? Everybody's doing everything in the browser. So that's a big advantage and a reason why people like this. They can also customize the viewer when they put it in their application to make it look exactly like their application. So it's very customizable and very configurable. The other big advantage there is it does also reduce your exposure to viruses and vulnerabilities that can be introduced through files like Word or Excel, or any of those kind of files become oftentimes potential that they could introduce a virus. And so this helps eliminate that or reduce that risk for your organization. And then of course, the general IT costs, right? So if I'm putting this functionality into my application, delivering it to my customers or the end users, I don't have to make sure that we're maintaining the latest versions of software on all these people's computers, of all these different versions of software, just so that they can view and access this, read this information. Another big part of it is security. So especially when you talk about in the corporate world, being able to control access to the data is very important. And part of that can be just the ability to download or print a document. So oftentimes, if you didn't have a viewer built into your application like PrizmDoc, you might end up having people download something in Word and then they print it. Now they've got a local copy on their machine. You can't control if they're printing it at that point. Then you've got multiple copies of this document floating around in your organization, and that's where errors can happen, right? So documents can get introduced into a workflow that aren't properly tracked. So that's a very key element of PrizmDoc. So that flows right into user access controls. So I did mention that the viewer itself can be modified to have whatever functionality turned on or off that you want in your organization, but you can do that based on user roles. And so using the APIs that PrizmDoc provides, you can create different versions of the viewer that can show and hide the functionality based on the users and the access management controls that you're using within your organization. Of course, we talked about security. So by default in PrizmDoc, HTTPS is the default for communication requests with the server. Everything that we're doing in PrizmDoc is it's all, everything's API calls. So there's a lot of opportunities for automation. There's a lot of opportunities for deep integration within your application. And we want to make sure that that's done in a secure manner. So we make sure we put in lots of security measures around that when we make those communication calls and we're having those communications. And then we do offer the option to turn that off if for some reason a customer can't work with that. So we give you the flexibility both ways, but by default, we want to make sure we're helping you be as secure as possible. So once you get into the viewer, so you have a document, you're viewing the document, I'm looking at it on my phone, I'm looking at it on my tablet, on my computer. Usually there's something you're trying to do, right? You're reading it or you're looking for information. And so one of the key powerful tools built into PrizmDoc is just the search tools, the advanced search features. And they're the things that you would expect in any desktop application, and they all exist in the browser in this application. So the ability to search for terms, but narrow it down for exact word or exact phrase matching or whole word only or begins with, ends with, or wildcards. You can do proximity searches. So if you're looking for a specific term, I'm looking for how to configure something, I'm looking through some documentation, I want to know how to configure something. You search for what it is and you search for within 5 words, tell me I'm looking for something within 5 words of the word configure. So the proximity search gives you a lot of tools to help even further kind of make that more powerful. But the other big powerful part of that is because this is all available as APIs, you can feed in from your application into the search here. So if somebody starts in say you're there in your ECM and they're searching and it narrows down to 10 documents and then they go to click the document, you can pass those search terms directly into the viewer in PrizmDoc. So when they're actually viewing the document, it's already highlighting all the terms for them. So they don't have to go back and execute the search again. So you can create that automation and just create that more seamless user experience for your end users. Once people are in the document, they're viewing the document, they're reading it, they're finding what they're looking for. A lot of times organizations want to collaborate on the document, and they want to be able to do this in a way oftentimes where they're not modifying the original document. So it could be highlighting pieces of information that they want to call out and they want somebody to review. It could be marking things up that might potentially need to be redacted, which comes up later in the redaction features, but being able to do that in a way that it's layered and it's separate from the original document. This is really important, especially in spaces like eDiscovery, where maintaining in the legal eDiscovery space, where maintaining the integrity of the original document is important. So depending on what your needs are, this can be a really valuable tool. We have a lot of customers that will use this feature specifically for that because the annotations are stored in a layer that is not impacting the original document. And the other big thing about the annotations is when you talk about collaboration and putting annotations and marking up documents, you could go into Word and do that, you could go into PowerPoint and do that, etc. But each one of those are just in those applications, where the annotations in here, you can apply these annotations to any document that is supported by PrizmDoc, which, as I said, is hundreds of documents that can be marked up and annotated. It's again, it's a big part of the review process, just marking up the documents, and you could even build workflows around that. So the annotations have, you can set annotations like stamps, for example, that says, classified or needs to be reviewed, and you can just apply those annotation stamps. That annotation data is stored in XML, so you can actually use that same data to then trigger some automations through connecting through the APIs. Redactions, again, this is just kind of another extension of the annotation functionality. So you have the ability to go in with the redaction tools to apply, text selections or rectangles or areas of the document that you want to, specific words that you want to redact. And what that means is when you go through and you identify those things, and you could even do this with search, you could do a search and identify the terms, and then you could say, okay, these are things that I want to redact. And when you do that, what you'll do is you export it as a PDF, as a secure PDF with all that content securely removed. So this is becomes really important when you're trying to protect confidential information or personally identifiable information. Any of that stuff, it's very, very valuable feature in that use case. Also, when people do redactions, usually they want to do some kind of redaction reason. Why was this redacted? PrizmDoc allows you to totally customize that to meet whatever the workflow or the reasons are that you're using in your organization. So all of this, again, right done in the browser. You don't need special tools. It's all handled within PrizmDoc. And then, of course, some of the big values of redactions, of course, legal compliance is being probably the #1 thing, right? Just making sure you're staying compliant with things like HIPAA and GDPR, and making sure that you're not accidentally disseminating any personal information, because that, of course, can lead to legal ramifications for your organization, and that can be costly. So it's also builds trust with your customers, right? If you can build into your workflows and your applications that you are handling their PII in a secure manner, and that this isn't going to accidentally get disseminated, it builds trust with your customers as well. So let's talk about AI and PrizmDoc. So AI, we have recently added a bunch of new AI functionality into PrizmDoc. We announced a partnership with IBM at in the middle of July, so just a couple months ago. And as part of that, we were able to bring some new functionality into PrizmDoc pretty rapidly. And what we're bringing is the power of IBM watsonx.ai directly into PrizmDoc to build efficiencies and just start building out even more efficient kind of workflows for our customers. So the first one is document summarization. So as we mentioned earlier, there's lots of different document types that are out there. There's lots of different, documents that are as part of an organization. And if I'm looking through my ECM and I'm looking for documents, even if I search and narrow it down to 10 or 15 documents, I don't want to necessarily maybe have to open each document to say, what is this document about? I want to get a quick summary of that. I want to be able to maybe highlight or hover over and get a pop-up summary, or have a field there on the screen that shows me a summary of it. Or when I open the document, have a pane that shows me a summary of the document. And it just helps me identify, is this really the document that I want to dive further into and invest my time in? And the big thing about document summarization that's really valuable is this all can be done automatically. So as you're bringing documents into your workflow, you can have it automatically run through and be summarized, and you don't have to manually do that. So in a lot of cases today, people are either manually writing summaries, or they're using a system where it's taking like the first paragraph of the document and it's pulling that in as a summary, which, as you know, is not really a good summary of what that document's about. So that's what document summarization brings to the table. Again, it's all available via an API. So when I demo this for you today, you're gonna see it in a UI where I'm gonna click a button and you're gonna see it happen, but it can be done automatically, and you programmatically set up to, like I said, process those documents as they come into your workflow. The text that's returned in the summary, again, is returned as JSON data that you can also, of course, ingest into your ECM or your application. Auto tagging and classification, very similar to summarization, right? It's something that you can do automatically, or you can do through the UI by clicking a button. But what this is taking those documents as they come in and helping them be classified and tagged in a way that it enhances your search and retrieval of those documents. So with classifications, PrizmDoc allows you to define what are the classifications that are meaningful to your organization, or that fit your organizational structure. So that could be, ID cards, bank statements, invoices. It could be quotes, NDAs, RFPs, any of those type of things that you want to do, whatever your classifications are. So all the AI will do is it will look at the content of that document. It'll say, which of these classifications that you've set up for your organization does this document most accurately match? But then the AI will take this a whole other level, where it will actually go through and look at, again, at the content and the context of the document, and it will create tags that can be very meaningful about the actual content of that document, that again can just further help when you're trying to narrow down large sets of documents to find very specific pieces of information within your organization. Again, this is all available via APIs. So you can automate this when you're ingesting documents. You can make these calls without actually having to open a viewer session to make those calls. So lots of efficiencies that can be created in your workflow. The next one is document Q&A. So document Q&A is very similar to what you've probably all used at this point. If you've used ChatGPT or Gemini or anything like that, document Q&A is simply that. It's going to allow you to ask a question and get an answer back. But the difference here is this is really geared towards your document or set of documents. So you're asking a specific question about a document or set of documents, and you're trying to get a very specific answer. So again, we'll show you this in the viewer today, where you'll see a pane right in the viewer where you can just type in your question and you get your answer right there, which is very useful for people. They don't have to maybe scroll through a whole document or just kind of, if you did, the old way to do it would be you search for something and then you're going through and you're looking at each search result, trying to figure out, okay, which one of these is going to answer my question, where now you can just type the question, get the answer right back from the document. And then again, you can pull that functionality right back into your application and even build document Q&A functionality into your application, where you could select maybe multiple documents and send those to support answering your question. And then the last AI feature that we have today is PII, detection and redaction. So this is very specific. So this is using the AI language models to look at the content of the document and then return back a JSON data set that is going to be tagged to say, okay, this is the data or the information from this document that we found that we think is PII. So what and here is the actual, what is that actual content? And then what type is it? Is it a person? Is it a social security number? Is it date and time? Is it a birth date? Those type of things. And then some kind of a confidence score, right? And this is one of those things that as time goes on, the AI is just constantly changing and getting better and better. And you'll see like almost every week that there's some new language models out there that are leapfrogging other ones in terms of their accuracy level and what kind of confidence level they can deliver that it's accurate. So we've built this again in the UI, but you can automate that. So if you said I wanted to automate, like anytime there's a date of birth, right? You could find date of births in there, and then you could automatically just have it redact those. There may be other use cases where you're not quite ready to maybe trust the AI. You just want to streamline the process by highlighting the content, and then have somebody who does a final review go through and just click the button to say yes, redact, redact, redact. So lots of efficiencies to be gained there. So to serve that up, I did mention, our partnership with IBM. For multiple reasons, we made this partnership. We wanted to bring in a partner who is an expert and innovative in this space and a leader in this space. And IBM watsonx.ai is definitely that. They bring with them a trusted, credible solution. They've been around for a long time, as you know, and everybody's heard of them. But they also bring some very unique things to the table for us as a partner. A lot of our customers are in PrizmDoc will use PrizmDoc in a self-hosted model for data security and reasons within their organization. We also have a cloud-hosted model for PrizmDoc, so both are available. We wanted to be able to offer the same with the AI functionality, to offer it both in a self-hosted and a cloud-hosted model. And so, of course, IBM watsonx.ai, they have a cloud-hosted model that's secure and scalable and can meet all of your needs today, ready to go. And so we can connect you up with that through PrizmDoc to enable all this functionality, but we can also give you an instance of watsonx.ai that you can host yourself in your data centers, in your clouds, if that's part of your business and your business security requirements. So we want to be able to meet our customers where they are with that. So being able to do that, very, very important to us. The other thing is to be able to reduce the time to delivery of bringing new AI features to our customers through PrizmDoc. So I mentioned we signed this partnership, or we announced our partnership agreement with IBM in the middle of July. The first week of August, we released our document summarization feature the end of August, we released our document Q&A feature, and then just in the last week or so, we launched the document Q&A. I'm sorry, end of August, we launched the tagging classification, and just in the last week or so, we launched document Q&A. The PII detection was actually, we had launched that in January, so we've had that one for a while, and that one comes available in multiple flavors. So you can use the watsonx.ai language models, but it also comes with a Microsoft Presidio option as well. So another big advantage here is we want to make sure we're positioning our customers to grow with the AI. So one of the things I mentioned earlier was this technology is changing all the time, right? And here's a good example. When we did our first testing against the language models, so with watsonx.ai, we have 27 large language models available to us. We picked the language models that were giving the best results in, say, July. And the one we picked for summarization in July, by September, that one's already deprecated. There's a new replacement one for it that is even more accurate. So that's how quickly the technology changes, and the way that we've built this makes it very seamless for our customers to switch out. Okay, we want to use this language model, and because there's a new one that's better, and you can just switch it out, and it makes it very easy to adapt. You don't have to recode everything. It makes it easy to adapt your technology and take advantage of that constant innovation of what we're getting through the IBM watsonx.ai. So let's take a look at the AI integrated into PrizmDoc. So I'm going to start with PrizmDoc and show you a couple things here. So I'm in the viewer here, and we've added a couple buttons, again, largely for demo purposes, but you can definitely keep these enabled or use them in your implementation of PrizmDoc. The first one's just summarization, right? I want to get a quick summary of this document, so it gives me back. In this case, I'm getting like 3 sentences summary of what is this document about. That is something that in the future iteration of this module, so like I said, we just released this module. Now we're working on kind of the second round of enhancements that you would be able to configure. So it's very easy to configure and say, instead of having 3 sentences, I want 3 paragraphs, or I just want 2 paragraphs. Whatever is going to best fit your use case. It's very easy to make that adjustment and do that. Again, that summary can be pulled back as JSON data back into your application and displayed wherever you want to display it. The second one will be document Q&A. So if I ask it a question, I type in a question and I ask it, say, hey, I don't want to scan through this whole document. I just want to know when Accusoft was founded. It comes right back. It says Accusoft was founded in 1991. So it looks through the content of the document and it looks at that and says, okay, how do I answer this question? It's not the same as search, right? It's a different functionality, and it really opens up a lot of possibilities as you start to think about what you can do with PrizmDoc Viewer in terms of just making your users processes and getting them to the answers they need much more efficient. But it also can be things like maybe you're bringing in your help files from your products and allowing customers to do free form search through those files and just streamlining that process overall. And then the last one here is tagging and classification. And so again, as I mentioned, this will look at a list of classifications that you have in your organization. And from there, it'll say, okay, of the ones that you've listed, we feel like press release is the most accurate. And then it comes back and gives tags based on the AI, says that, okay, this is what we think is good, related tags to the content and context of this document. If the AI returns something that you don't agree with, you can always just deselect it, right, and turn it off. Future iterations of this will have a thing where you could either have a pull down list to add ones if you have specific tags in your organization that you want, or if you want to rename a tag. But for now, we've just added this to the UI because, again, expect a lot of customers to do this kind of automatically on the ingestion of their documents, but then also maybe tying that in with the tagging and classifications that they're already using in their ECMs today. And then the last new module is our PrizmDoc PII detection and redaction. So what this does is this builds upon those redaction tools that we talked about in PrizmDoc that we've had for years. So it just builds upon that functionality, and it actually brings a very valuable thing. So it's not just identifying that the content's there, but it's identifying where it is in the document. And this is where it gets tricky, is being able to get those results back from the AI and then go into the document and specifically highlight those things automatically. So you'll see that we do that really quickly. It comes back, it says, okay, this is all the data that I think is PII. And if you navigate to any one of these pieces of information, and you'll see it's highlighted a little darker blue, and there's a button here you can click that will just do that redaction for you. So it makes it, again, very easy to streamline that process of, if you want somebody to be reviewing some document before it goes out the door, they can just click through and they can do the redaction of those things. Or like I said, you can create automations that can just say, based on the type or based on the confidence level or both of those things, you can say just automatically redact that information. So just to kind of recap, PrizmDoc, full featured, not just a document viewer, it's a full featured set of document processing APIs that are going to give you the ability to do viewing of documents of more than 100 file types. The ability for you to convert documents. So a lot of times there's going to be instances where you might have stuff that comes in one format. You want to be able to convert it to a PDF or a TIFF or an image file or something. Being able to do those conversions of all those different file types into that, any of those file types that you have available, you want to convert to PDF, you can do that, or to TIFF or whatever image you need for archiving purposes, and do that all automatically. Those advanced tools for annotation redaction to build those workflows, the collaboration to build to bring that kind of secure protection of data into your workflow, searching and indexing, finding stuff quickly. With the addition of the AI on top of that, makes it even more powerful. And then we have just a lot of other tools that are available. We have video support, we have OCR to be able to take those documents, convert them from image-based to text-based PDFs. And again, that can create a lot of efficiencies in your workflow, because you can take things that might be coming in as image-based, OCR them, and now all of a sudden you can trigger off automations and workflows that are going to go through and do PII detection and then do some redactions and those type of things. And it just so it brings all that together. We do this all in a very secure manner. We do this with a way that you can securely integrate this into your application and do that customization to make this fit within your application and make it very seamless for your end users. So, just constantly focused on things like increasing efficiencies for our customers in their workflow, and just helping them be overall more productive in a very flexible, scalable way, so that this can be plugged into your application, and as your business grows, you don't have to worry about all of these advanced functionalities and the changes in this technology and the changes in the document types. Word or Excel, they're always introducing like new types of charts and new types of things that have new functionality that can change how a document renders. And so PrizmDoc just provides all that functionality for you. And then putting that, layering on top of that, the AI that we bring in, and just in the last 2 months, we've brought in 3 new really key features in auto summarization, auto tagging, classification, document Q&A. We're enhancing our PII detection and redaction, and there's a lot more to come out of this. And so we're really excited about that, because not only do we feel like in our conversations with customers, these are things that are very valuable, and they see a need for these functionalities, but we have lots of conversations with them, and we're finding every day almost new use cases that we can evolve this technology and make that available to all of our customers. So very excited about that. So that is it. I do have one more poll question before we jump into Q&A. So I just want to ask, I hope you enjoyed the content of today's call, but if there's anything more you'd like to maybe talk to some of the Accusoft experts about, maybe specific more details about any of these use cases, or if you have some of your own use cases that you didn't hear today, but you'd like to maybe talk to me in product management or some of our engineers to see if our technology can help you, we'd love to do that. So we're going to go ahead and just give you a minute or a couple seconds there to answer that, and then we will just a few more seconds, I think, and then we're going to just wrap this up. All right, so let's go back to here, and it's time for some Q&A. So let me see if we got any questions. We have one question today. So someone's asking about PrizmDoc and if it's available as a cloud-hosted solution. And yeah, I think I touched on that briefly earlier, but we do offer PrizmDoc both in a self-hosted and a cloud-hosted version. So depending on what your needs are, both options can be deployed very quickly, and we have people on staff that can help you with, like I said, our world-class support team that can help you with getting those stood up and running and doing any kind of proof of concept. The next one is, does PrizmDoc support in-house or cloud AI? So very similar question back to the AI functionality specifically. Yes, absolutely. It's available both in a self-hosted and a cloud-hosted model. And the big difference there is if you choose cloud-hosted, right, you're just anytime you do cloud-hosted stuff, generally you're paying on kind of a transaction per interaction base, where if you do self-hosted, it's more of a flat fee. But then you have your costs will scale as your usage would go up, right? Just for your hardware and maintaining that. That looks like that's it for the questions for today. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time, and I hope everybody has a great afternoon. And again, thank you for spending time with us this afternoon.